Yeah, this is awesome. So, as we get started, let's talk about how you got to be Sam the Cooking Guy, where you started, and then what
Sure.
led you down the path to starting making cooking content and how you
Yeah.
got there.
I'll shorten it because it could take me 4 hours if I wanted to. If you ask my wife what I do for a living, she'll say, "Oh, he talks for a living." So I won't do that to you. But I was always one of those people that didn't really know what he wanted to do when he grew up, and I ended up doing a series of things that led me to being the director of operations at a biotech company. And I
Okay.
know that sounds weird. It's, you just don't stumble your way into it. But real estate led me there. I sold a house to a guy that started a biotech company. He asked me to be his facilities manager, and I did not like real estate. So I said yes. And I did that for 8 years. And I also didn't like that. Uh, in fact, in about year, I don't know, six, I said, I got to get out of here. I'm miserable. And my mother always said life is very short. You gotta do things that you like. And spending essentially 30% of your day doing something that you hate is a miserable situation. So I needed to find a way out. And I came up with an idea for a travel show.
Okay.
Nothing really to do with food, just travel. I wanted to sort of demystify complicated places. And this was based on a trip that I'd taken to Tokyo with my brother-in-law. He went for work. I went for my 40th birthday present to myself. We stayed at a hotel together. During the day, he was at a convention. During the day, I was wandering Tokyo alone.
Hmm.
When I came back, told people how great it was, a lot of the reaction was, "Ah, shit, I don't know if I could go to a place by myself and travel alone." And I thought, maybe there's something there. Anyway, I got so sick of the biotech job one day. I said, what am I going to do? And I thought, what if I went to what I thought or people thought were complicated places and showed them that they could go there and have a great time? I quit my biotech job to start a travel show. Unfortunately, my timing was off by a bunch because about a month before I was supposed to go to Tokyo and Hong Kong to shoot some footage to put together a little demo reel. 9/11 happened. And that,
Oh,
as I always say, that changed everything.
sure.
For a lot of other people in a much more significant way than it did for me, I didn't lose anyone in 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
but still, that changed a lot. And nobody was buying a travel show in the days following 9/11, especially from a guy that had never really traveled and had never been on TV. And somebody said, "What were you thinking?" And my answer is, I was thinking I wanted to be happy. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I sat at home, literally the week following 9/11, with no job to go to. TV was on, and I came across a really so I literally came across a cooking segment in a local channel, and it was awful. It was butternut squash soup, and I don't know if you've ever made it
Yeah.
or anybody listening, but here's what you need to make butternut squash soup. You need butternut squash. You could use water and you'd be fine. If you had some kind of broth, it would be better. If you had some
Right.
seasoning, it would be a little better. But it's not complicated. This guy managed to make it like he was building a rocket ship to go to the moon.
Right.
And it was the most complicated thing I've ever seen. And as I was watching it, I said to myself, fuck, somebody should do this, but make it simple. So people watching could go, hey, I could make that,
Yeah.
rather than let's go to the restaurant. And that was the light bulb. Pulled together a little crew,
And
shot a
but to be
cooking
clear,
segment.
you have no culinary training. You never went to culinary school or anything like that,
Oh
too.
no. In fact, in those days, and this is 2001, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
My wife did the predominance of the cooking. I did the
It's so funny.
barbecue stuff
Right.
because I'm a guy and there's some expectation that we're supposed to. As
Right.
cavemen, we liked fire. So as an
Y-
advanced male being, we still like fire. But what I did out there was shit.
Yeah.
I would take any protein out and I would ruin it and come back and we would eat it. I didn't know better. My wife probably knew better, but she was kind enough not to say anything. But the point, Deuce, was not to do complicated stuff like that chef. It was
Right.
to make things that people could make. As they would watch it, they would go, holy crap, that looks like I could do that.
Right.
So I was pretty limited in what I could do in the beginning. That was really a blessing that really helped me because I wasn't going to use culinary terminology or technique. I was like the everyman of cooking.
So this is back in like 2012, and you started actually on public access.
No, it was 2002.
Holy smokes!
So I made this little demo,
That's right.
sent it out,
Okay.
and a TV station here in San Diego picked me up to do a 2-minute cooking segment twice a week. They'd come to my house, they'd shoot a couple segments, 3 or 4, go back, edit them down to a couple minutes, actually a minute and 30, and then they would air.
Wow.
And they won Emmys. First year out, we won Emmys for like 90 seconds worth of content.
That's so crazy. And that's
Yeah.
over 20 years ago. Wow. So you've
Yeah.
been at this for a long
A
time.
long time, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it became a half-hour show
Okay.
here locally and on a handful of sort of community access stations around the country. Discovery came along and put me on Discovery Health, doing a show called Just Cook This with Sam the Cooking Guy.
Who gave you
And-
the name Sam the Cooking Guy?
Well, it was very intentional because, as you know, there is no test for being a chef.
Right.
You can put on a white coat and a toque, a big goofy chef hat, and call yourself a chef. And millions of people do. There's plenty of people all over the internet. Chef Lucy, Chef John, Chef Petey, whatever. And some of them legitimately can use that title. But I felt, to me, a chef was either a culinary school graduate or a restaurant person, neither of which I had. So I didn't want to take anything away from people that I felt had earned the title. So I was just Sam, the cooking guy. It's
I
that
like
simple.
it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so Discovery came along. I had a series on Discovery's Health Channel for a year. Then they sold the channel off the whole network, Discovery Health, to Oprah, so she could start the Oprah Winfrey Network. And I didn't fit into How to Live Your Best Life, apparently, Oprah. And I'm not still pissed at it. Yes, I'm still pissed. No, I don't think I'm pissed because it wouldn't have worked there. They felt that the show was way too male oriented. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't fit into the whole Oprah vibe.
Okay.
So that was fine. I carried on doing what I was doing. And in 2012, my oldest son, I have 3, came and said, "You need to be on YouTube. It's a thing. You need to be there."
Nice.
I said, "All right." And he goes, "And I want to be part of it." He was scheduled to go to law school. And I said, "What about law school?" And he goes, "I don't think I can do it." Now, as a parent, I think the first inclination would be, "You're going to fucking law school, buddy. You
Yeah.
did well. All this, you're going to go. You're going to have that." But he looked at me and he goes, I don't think I want that life. I don't know if I can do the office thing." So from me, how could I say to my son, "You can't do that because I want you to," or "You have to do that because I want you to," when I said, I don't want the conventional office world business life. I want to
Right.
go do this. So I said, "All right." So we struck out and we started something called the Sam Livecast. It was me in front of the camera, Max behind, and we had 2 other people, another guy on a camera, and people switching. And it was actually live, a couple days
Wow.
a week. And it was
Okay.
terrible. You go back to, if you go, you just run the screen all the way as far back in Sam the Cooking Guy land as you can, or type in YouTube Sam the Livecast. It was like a talk show
Okay.
that also morphed into a cooking show. So we
Okay.
would talk about if it was Thanksgiving, we talk about Thanksgiving food or what I did for the weekend or what I was going to eat or stuff that had happened to me. And then I go, "All right, let's go cook." And we jump in the kitchen, we make something. And it could be 30 minutes long. It could be an hour 30 long. And nobody was watching. We were way ahead of our time. I think something like that would work now. And every so often we talk about going back to it. But,
Yeah.
people's attention, they want short these days. So,
Well, I agree, but
Yeah.
now the more of the live cast is coming back, and especially
Yeah.
if you're trying to sell something, and I think that there is a room for both for sure right now.
So we have that thought, and not feels like going backwards, but whatever. And honestly, it was live streamed, and live streaming in 2011
Oh, just
was
horrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
It was glitchy AF. Signals that would go out. I'd pause. People were. But what was cool about it is that as we were doing things, somebody was on a computer going, "Oh, Helen from Montana wants to know why you use that instead of that," and I could respond in real time. It was really cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
In fact, the more I talk about it, the more maybe I should revisit that part of my life. Anyway, we started, and from 2011 to 2018, a 7-year span, we had amassed 30,000 subscribers.
Okay.
Which is respectable.
Right.
And then we made this little switch, and we stopped just making sort of random stuff. We stopped the live cast thing. We took the episodes, the videos that could have been an hour and a half long or an hour, down to generally sort of 10 to 15 minutes.
Just
And
to
we
give
were-
people a perspective.
Yeah.
Now, was this like you and Max like full-time thing working on YouTube, or were you doing other things and this is more like a side interest?
No, it was full time.
Okay.
And none of us were really making very much money then.
Right.
I had 2011. I had my first 3 books had come out,
Okay.
so I had that.
Right.
Making a little bit of money from that, but then all the other sort of ancillary things that were attached to it. But nobody was doing really well. So,
Right.
but 2018 changed, and we went from 30,000 subscribers in 2018 to 1 million
Oh,
in 2019.
wow.
Took us
Holy
7 years to get 30,000, and then 1 year to gain 1 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then another million, then another million. Now we're at like 3.8.
Yeah.
and struggling to get to the 4 million point. Now it's very difficult.
Right.
And
well,
I'm not
it's
saying
more saturated.
It's
for sure.
definitely more saturated. And I'm not saying now as in necessarily 2024, but now as in we're a show that's been on a while, and maybe we have our share of the pie that we're ever going to get. Hard to know, right?
4
And I
million is a
know,
good share to have. That's
4 million's
awesome.
pretty. Yeah, look, I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah.
4 million's a good number. We got a great audience. It's very loyal. And look, there's channels that have much bigger numbers that have grown bigger and stuff. And that's all good. I know that, as my grandmother would say, that they make different flavors of ice cream because not everybody wants chocolate. I know
Right.
not everybody likes me. We're not a, yourself, a lot of the channels out there, somebody shoots something and they voice record everything after the fact, and you
Right.
just see the hands, right? Now I'm going to chop this onion, put it in the pan, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. Some people just want that. They don't want any extra fluff. They don't want to hear me talking about, while something's waiting to boil, what happened on the weekend or why I think I might want to do something. That being said, I think that we add an awful lot of extra information in the thing.
That's something that we struggle with as well. Is like, as we're cooking the recipe, I
Yeah.
add in, we'll just film everything, but then we'll
Yes.
cut it to,
Yeah.
our main focus is short form. But I'll add in all my thoughts on it, and that's what the editors say is like, I feel bad cutting this out because some of this does make sense and it adds
Yeah.
value, but ultimately, right now our focus is on short form and building our audience, like you've already done.
Yeah.
But just my perspective on it is watching your videos, kind of preparing for the interview, is you have a very specific style, and I had that exact thought going through my head is like, this isn't for everybody. It is Sam's style, and you are very unique in the way you speak, the way you present.
Yeah.
You're not, a super classically trained chef, but I think
Not even
that's
close,
great.
yeah.
I think I really enjoyed watching it and hearing your perspective on things.
Well, thank you. I think what it is I think our style is super approachable,
Yeah.
right? If you're really serious about what you do and you don't want your measurements in a handful or a half a cup, you want grams, right, and mils and stuff like that, we're probably not the channel for you.
Yeah.
Exactness is really not. We often say, our style of cooking is like hand grenades. Close enough is generally good enough.
Yep.
I tell people, get rid of your measuring spoons. You could probably take a salt shaker or a sugar shaker and get close to a tablespoon of sugar in your hand, right? Probably close to a teaspoon. And
Right.
close is good enough. This is not baking, which is really a science.
Right.
If you don't have the right amount of baking powder or baking soda, it won't rise or fall or stay heavy or whatever, right? You're not going to have exactly the results that you want. But my shit who cares? If I'm making a barbecue sauce and instead of a third of a cup of Sweet Baby Ray's that I might tell you to add, you get a half a cup or a quarter of a cup. It's probably not going to be a big deal.
Right.
And those are the people that we try to attract, It pisses other people off. I don't read comments all that often, but the comments, when they're bad, are you're a fucking idiot. Who gave you a channel on YouTube? You don't know what you're doing. I've never seen this turn out worse before. And that's fine. That's why I don't really read comments, because there's a lot of people out there that very happy just, I liken them to, I imagine it's like a super overweight guy in his 40s, mid 40s, living in his mother's basement. And he's sitting there in big white BVDs, nothing else on, in front of his computer. And he's just there, typing away nasty shit to people like me.
I remember in 2021 when we were first really started putting a focus on TikTok and posting stuff, some of the early comments were like, I really had to hold back from going back at blasting these people. This guy should never cook barbecue again. He doesn't even know what he's doing. And I'm like, my God. So, but I listened to my good buddy Joe Rogan, and he said, don't read the comments and don't bother paying attention to them. So that's
I listened to my wife. In the very beginning, people would write, and I would email back, no, you don't understand. This is what I'm trying to do, blah, blah, blah. It was like pages of stuff. And then finally one day I was just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't care about them. If they don't want to watch, don't watch. What amazes me is that people that hate my style, hate me, I guess, that go, well, I watched this video and this video and this video. And at the end you did this. Go, if you hate me so much, why are you watching?
You're right.
Come on. I mean, I suppose hate watching is a thing for some people, but yeah. Well, so, just let me finish. Hold on.
Yep.
Yes. So that brings us to sort of modern day and where we are in viewers and YouTube and stuff like that.